I'm Chris Williams from Cyclone Fanatic, and a proud Iowa State graduate from the class of 2007. No one shows up like Iowa State fans. And Cyclones support Cyclones on and off the field. Your gift can provide scholarships to students, fund groundbreaking research. We could even drum up opportunities for the marching band. Visit MoveWhatMatters.com to learn how you can make an impact today.
Chris Williams, Brent Blum. From the Northwest Bank Studios, it's Williams and Blum, presented by Mechdyne on the Cyclone Fanatic Podcast Network.
What's up, Fanatics? Are you sick of us yet? It's Brend and Brent again, filling in for Williams. As of now, Williams is sitting in the Des Moines Airport.
It's a great airport, by the way. It's a nice airport.
And it's only getting better.
Yeah.
They're adding that second terminal. Maybe we'll have a direct to Ireland one day.
So, I'm not going to rub it in, but I'm going to. It's going to sound like it. I am on the team plane next week.
Ooh.
They get a direct to Ireland from Des Moines.
So that's what, 8.5 hours or so?
I need to look up my itinerary. It's something like that. I will look that up, actually. That'd be good insight for everybody. The interesting part is, because I've been in the weeds in this for a couple months, Iowa State, via the Des Moines Airport, had to get a waiver from the FAA to charter an international flight out of Des Moines, just for this purpose. And so, therefore, Iowa State doesn't have to stop. The team is on one flight all the way there to Dublin.
Good for them. You're telling me the team, Rocco Beck, doesn't have to sit in the Philadelphia airport for 5.5 hours with me?
He does not.
I'm on Operation Find an Authentic Philly Cheesesteak in the Philadelphia airport. I don't know what my odds are.
As I'm a connoisseur of that Philadelphia airport. I would always find the Chili's. Again, when I was at an airport, I didn't want to get adventurous. I just find the Chili's.
If
get that
we don't
bottomless
need
chips.
We don't need Chili's on board, but if we could get Airport Chili's as a sponsor of Williams and Blum, I'm also you can't go wrong.
You can't go wrong.
Chili's
I'm
in
telling
the
you.
airport.
Who says no to Chili's? Because you know what you're getting. It's going to be average to above average. It's basically Iowa football.
Do you know that Cyclone Larry is a massive Chili's guy? And I'm with him. Chili's is so overhated, I think, in my eyes.
I agree. I'm a Chili's guy. I will, I like Chili's more than Applebee's. Again, I don't want to upset a sponsor here, but neither of them are. By the way, welcome back, Cyclone Larry. Can we give a round of applause? Larry's back.
Yep.
Welcome back,
machine.
Larry. Larry, way to go.
Yeah. I don't know if he's going to Ireland or not.
I don't know. Yeah, well, we haven't heard. He'll be there in spirit. That's for sure.
He already came back with a pretty good tweet. Gosh, what was it? I retweeted it because it made me laugh. Shocker, Cyclone Larry making people laugh. I'll pull it up. The Kansas news. I'm sure you saw. They got a $300 million donation from David Booth that's going to their stadium. And Larry said, "How many AJ stores can they buy with this?"
Welcome back, Larry. That's actually really good.
Well, we are here because of Mechdyne, and Mechdyne, I'm sure they've got a lot of PTO requests that they're approving for the coming weeks, as I'm sure many of the good Cyclone fans that work at Mechdyne are off to Dublin, like Blum and I.
That's right.
Mechdyne is a great local company, and they love to hire, and it seems like they're almost always hiring. So if you're looking for a career change or just a change of where you're working, hit up Mechdyne and see what Chris Clover and his team can do for you. Today we're going to talk some big picture stuff and weather. Kind of an interesting podcast, but I went on a K-State show last night. Cocaine Willie is what they call it. I actually really like those guys. None of them use their real names on Twitter. It's Bob Trollsby, Fireball Matt. They're like a few of the K-State fans that I interact with and get along with. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, Cocaine Willie, I'm in right there.
Yeah,
say no more.
It's quite the name. It grabs the attention. But one of the things they asked me was when it comes to Matt Campbell not winning a Big 12 championship yet, what the sense around Iowa State fans is on if he needs one for his legacy, or is it just kind of like, his legacy is cemented? And I'm interested to hear your perspective on this, Blum, but I said no matter what, he is already the best coach in school history, and I don't even think it's close. I don't think you can argue it. But for me, I was thinking, what would happen if he won a Big 12 championship? Does he ascend to the best Iowa State figure ever? Is he already there? Where does he rank in that? That's where my mind went. And that's kind of been on my mind the last day since they asked me that question. Great
point. And it's worth revisiting now. This is year 10 for Matt, which is incredible. If you think about all that has transpired in those 10 years, I mean, there's been a lot of stuff, like literally a lot of good stuff, but a lot of stuff that Iowa State's had to navigate it and done it really well, mainly thanks to Matt. And I'll just say Matt and staff.
Yep.
Because what gets lost in this, too, is it's not just Matt, it's the continuity within that program, all over the place. I mean, think about the staff members who have been with him the whole time. Haycock's the big one. Eli Rashid, huge. And then you look at, Mauser's been there. Hoodger, exactly. Yep, Skip. I mean, it's a machine in the best way, in that it's you're not reinventing the thing every year, and that's why I say it's been so stable and so consistent, other than that 2022 year, which was really weird with the 3 wins and we can go back and revisit what happened in some of those games, but it's been strangely consistent. So you start talking about legacy, he already has the best legacy there would be possible for a football coach at Iowa State. Keep in mind, McCarney only coached 12 years, so he's closing in on McCarney for tenure. He's way past him in wins. I mean, you can throw in Earl Bruce, Johnny Majors, absolutely. From a high-end football standpoint, they're probably right there with Matt, for what they did mainly, though, after Iowa State and including Iowa State. But I don't know if I've ever met a Cyclone fan of my generation and older that says Matt better win a Big 12 championship or he ruins his legacy. I just don't think that's out there. And I would even posit, Jake, the fact that he's still at Iowa State is to win that Big 12 championship.
Yes.
That's not to say that if he wins one, he's going to leave or anything, but I honestly think that's what keeps him at Iowa State more than anything else. Is I've proven I can win at a high level, but I want to win at the highest level and do it at Iowa State. It's almost like that final boss level in a video game. It's like, I got there, but I'm going to get there before I turn this thing off and start over with a new game. And I hope Matt's here for another 15 years, 20 years. But I do think that last hurrah of winning a Big 12 championship, something that hasn't happened at Iowa State since 1908, is the one thing that's kind of keeping him going in a way. So in some context, follow me here, it's almost been better for Iowa State's consistency as a football program that they haven't won one yet. Just because I just wonder if Matt checks that box, he can say, okay, what more is there left for me to do at Iowa State? And I'll go see what else is out there. Obviously, that hasn't happened. Matt has always said, actions speak louder than words, yada, yada. But I do think that's a big motivator for him, is to win that championship.
And it's also not like the 2 trips to Dallas have been some massive feel-good underdog story. Yes, Iowa State is, resource-wise, location-wise, they are the underdogs as far as where they've come.
True.
But in 2020... that team beat Oklahoma in the regular season.
Yeah.
They were 1 drive away from doing it.
Yep.
Last year, people forget because of how the game went, Iowa State was favored. So It's not like it was some...
Great point.
This had to go slay Goliath.
Yeah, this isn't beating Texas in 05 and 06 when you were in the North. Yeah. That. If Iowa State, we joke about it, because I lived it. You were probably 5, or if that. When Iowa State played Kansas down there, one of the worst days of my sports watching life, watching Iowa State blow that game against Kansas in overtime. But think about it. That probably cost McCarney his job the next year. But if Iowa State wins that and goes and plays Texas in the Big 12 championship game, I think they won that game. Aiden, if you could look that up for me, I think they won. I think they beat Colorado like 70-3. Would that have really helped? I mean, yeah, you would have played probably then in the bowl in San Diego, the Holiday Bowl, which would have been great. Iowa State ended up playing in the Houston Bowl and losing to TCU of all teams in their foghorn, and now TCU's in the conference. But this is different. Iowa State is consistent, and there is a path where Iowa State could be. I think this is why this first game's so fascinating. Right there with Kansas State and Arizona State. Let's see, 70-3. Wow, they're
right on.
Yeah, hey, look at me. Memory's still working here. That's 20 years ago. My goodness, everybody, what are we doing? But I think Matt sees a world where Iowa State could be a dominant program in this conference, and if we get the resources on par with some of our, and we'll never get all the way there, but I think he has shown the path that if he has the ability, he can win at the highest level. And honestly, I think that's what's motivating for him to stay in Ames is they want to win at the highest level.
Well, that's been the thing the last 2 years. When Texas and Oklahoma leave, everybody's on a relatively equal playing field. Texas Tech now is challenging that.
And apparently Kansas is too.
So
$300 million, my word.
The point is, though, when those two big dogs leave, who've both won national championships in the last 25, 30 years, there was a window to open up the next team. Is that Iowa State? Is it Kansas State, Utah, those Oklahoma State?
Yep.
Now Arizona State has certainly emerged as a
TCU,
possibility.
Baylor,
TCU played for a national championship.
Yep.
Baylor has won BCS bowls in the past. So there's a lot of teams that
BYU wants it.
BYU spending. They're all vying for it, but who has the substance to do it year in, year out? Maybe it's as simple as there isn't a team that's able to do it year in, year out because there's so many other teams on the equal playing field. But there's no doubt in my mind that as long as Matt Campbell is in Ames, Iowa State will have a shot in November each year to make it to Dallas. It's all about making those really good seasons into great seasons and turning a 9-win season into a 10-win, and that could always be the difference.
Yeah, and I think the Kansas, obviously you talked to K-State folks last night. The Kansas news coming out today that David Booth threw in $300 million through the athletic department, which is just insane. I mean, I can't even fathom that. You know what Texas Tech's doing. You know what the Utah schools are doing. It's an arms race right now to be that top of that Big 12. And I think it's notable for Iowa State. It's like, hey, we've had a lot of success in this current climate, but a lot of times when you've had success, sometimes that leads to, I don't want to call it, being passive, but all these schools are trying to spend to get to the top. And it's a reminder to Iowa State, like, you can't just rest on your laurels like, oh, we have Matt and TJ. Let's just not do our part. And obviously Iowa State, is trying to push every button it can to get to the Kansases and the Texas Techs of the world. But I think it's worth reminding the fan base, not a lot, you folks who listen to this podcast are not who I'm talking to, by the way. I'm talking to the casual fans who just go on Saturday and they assume that Iowa State's going to win 8 to 10 games every year. Well, you can't just assume that in this current climate because, unfortunately, it's a game now where revenue is important and all these schools are lining up to get there. And when I start talking about Matt and TJ, just to recircle the conversation, that is the one thing, in my opinion, that may dictate their future at Iowa State is if they feel like they're playing with half the resources as everybody else, that's going to be really hard. And so I think we've gotten through this far, but it's not a point you're going to say, okay, we're good now. We've got Matt and TJ. They're looking to the fans. And again, I'm not talking to you listening to this. I'm talking to the masses. They're looking for, is Iowa State willing to invest at the level that our peers are in this conference? And if so, we'll be here as long as you want us to be.
It's vital. It's so important.
And again, things are moving behind the scenes. Like things are going okay. I mean, this isn't like panic time, but I just think we start talking about legacy and Matt's tenure and TJ's. Obviously, we talked about it with C-Dub the other day. I think the only thing really, the scariest thing for me as far as losing those coaches isn't so and so is going to depart for a bigger job. The only reason they depart for a quote unquote bigger job is if they feel like they're going to a fight with not the right ammunition. And I think that's where it comes, honestly. It's on us to keep them here. It's on all of us.
It's the most important thing. You talk about keeping Joshua Jefferson or Rocco Beck. That is extremely important, but the one thing that's more important than keeping elite players is keeping elite coaches.
Yeah.
And you could make the argument right now that Iowa State has their two best coaches in school history coaching at the same time.
And then I would argue, too, I think Iowa State's got the best football men's basketball coach combo in the conference right now.
It's hard to argue
there? I don't think there would be. Texas Tech, maybe, but Campbell's far superior to McGuire as far as accolades.
If Leipold started at KU a decade ago, I think you could maybe make that argument.
That's a good one too. Yeah, they got a good combo there.
He's just always felt like a bridge coach to me, and he is the perfect guy that has brought KU from the worst Power 5 program to a competent one, to a pretty good one. But he's not there for the long haul because I think he's 63, 64. But yeah, when you look at it like that, maybe... Yeah, I don't
think there is one.
I don't know where else you look. Maybe
Houston?
Tang? Yeah.
Let me ask Iowa State fans. Would you... so let's just play... You can play a game. Like, what would Iowa State be if its coaches were Scott Frost and Johnny Dawkins right now? Oof. You know?
That's not something I'd like to think about.
No, not at all. Not at all.
You're thinking back to the late McCarney years, crossing over with Wayne Morgan.
Yeah. See, we've come so far. It's like we have it set up. It's there. The runway's obviously really long, but again, when I see the Kansas stuff and I know what Tech's doing, I know what the Utah schools are doing, that's where it's like we've done the hard part. Now you just got to keep the plane on the runway.
And don't get me wrong, I really like Grant McCasland. I think Joe McGuire's a good football coach.
Yeah,
but
I'd say Tech's fine.
But could you imagine if you gave Campbell and Otts those budgets to go go do whatever they wanted?
And honestly, Jake, you hit on something. That's my biggest fear with this era is those two in particular saying, man, I'm doing this in Ames with this. What happens if I have that?
Yeah.
And that could be about anything. Whether it's we all know both those guys have turned down multiple SEC and Big Ten jobs in the last 5 years. Multiple. So if they wanted more resources, they've had the chance to take it now, and they've won enough to keep them here. But I think that's where I keep reminding everybody, like this isn't like a woe is us or scary times ahead, but the hard part's done, and that's Iowa State is winning. Now do our part to keep the winning.
Well, that plays nice into the Iowa State University Foundation. Going. What is your specific branch in that, Blum?
My branch in the foundation?
Yes, for the rev share.
Yeah, so we just started. Actually, I just sent out an email today. Look in your inbox, We Will donors. The We Will Fund just launched this week.
That's right. It's still called We Will.
It's still We Will. It's the We Will Fund. Again, please check your inbox. Some notes for all of our We Will donors. Encouraging everybody in the next 4 months by the end of the year to transition their monthly contribution, if you're giving one, over to the Iowa State Foundation through almost the exact same setup. But now the great news, everybody, you can get foundation points as well as priority points for athletics.
Ooh.
So
how about your parking?
A big motivator to get that turned over there. And again, appreciate everyone's support and understanding as we keep this going. And back into our conversation of, we're dealing with schools just 3.5 hours from here in Kansas that just got a $300 million one-time gift. So the race continues, whether we like it or not.
And while you're there, go and support maybe some other areas of Iowa State that means something to you. Is it the marching band, whatever school you attended at Iowa State?
The great thing, Jake, is now, since We Will through the foundation, your end-of-year statement is going to have all that in one place. One-stop shop now for your Iowa State giving. And very appreciative of that team, first class all the way around, and fun to work with them again.
That is movewhatmatters.com. You can go and donate to your causes there.
And if you have any questions, feel free to give me a shout, but We Will Fund is the name of the fund at the foundation. And they take stock gifts and all sorts of other gifts as well.
While we're at it, let's thank Kelderman Manufacturing. I'm so excited to do one of these shows in person. Our in-person studio's been under construction for the past couple months. We are so close to being done with it, and Kelderman made us a beautiful Cyclone Fanatic in Iowa Everywhere metal signs that's going to go in the back of our second. We're kind of creating a second, more casual studio within the studio.
Nice.
So look for that. Kelderman is so talented. I need to just have him make something from my podcast background. I could really use something from him.
Yeah, I might lean. Kelderman, send us something. I got my Ames Lager can behind me, but I could use something a little sexier. Honestly.
Also, I brought him up. Northwest Bank, we're in their studios. It is time to go and get your money converted to euros before you go. Kind of running a little bit out of time if you're leaving when I do on Monday. It's easier to do it here in the States at one of your great local Northwest banks as it would be doing it in the airport, doing it at some Irish convenience store. Just do it now. You'll thank yourself later if you're able to convert those before you hop on the jet.
Yeah, I mean, get it done, and what you'll learn when you go in there, they're just good people. There's really good people. I was in there last week. I was there for a half hour. I was just talking to all my Northwest Bank friends. Kara, my guy Chase was there, hanging out with Chase. They've honestly, Jake, when I worked from home for 3 years, I would go to the bank just to talk to human beings occasionally, like real people. That's the type of place you want to bank with right there.
Well, speaking of working from home, if you do that and you miss human interaction, Gravitate Co-working, Bloom to Brend on the lob. Gravitate Co-working, locations all over, and you can just go set up your own little office. You don't have to be with coworkers necessarily. You're just with other Gravitate coworkers. That's a great way to stay sane while working from home. I'm very blessed to have the hybrid option of working from home, but also we've got our Cyclone Fanatic offices. If we didn't have that, I would go crazy.
I look forward now to Zoom calls with my new coworkers because it's like, people, real people.
Yeah,
I really should have gone to Gravitate all along. That would have solved my dilemma. But you guys can fix that for yourselves.
Gravitate Co-working, go and support them. So, do you want to talk weather?
I love weather. Did you know I took intro level meteorology at Iowa State? So I feel like I'm very qualified to talk about weather. Dr. Peters, I believe, was the professor's name. If anybody else took that class, let me know. Was it 106 or 206? It was one of them. One of the two.
I had a one-day weather internship with Ed Wilson.
Yeah, well, so you're qualified as well.
And then I entered the transfer portal. So back to this Cocaine Willie podcast.
Yes.
I mean, they're producing all of our content today. Thank you to
Thank you, Cocaine
Bob Trollsby and the team. So we were talking about the running backs, and they brought up Hansen Sama kind of as a 1A, 1B, and I said that I view it as more of a 1-2, just based off of what Hansen was able to do and maybe some of Sama's struggles. But as I was saying that, I'm like, I'm not trying to be a jerk, guys, but if you look at Sama when all the snow was on the ground in Manhattan, look what he did. And I think his best game last season was the Texas Tech game when it started pouring rain in the second half.
Yes, that's right.
So I started thinking to myself, well, what if it's Dublin, it rains a lot? What if it rains, is that advantage Abu? And then all three of them said K-State has had tons of troubles the last couple of years when any kind of precipitation happens, whether it was the snow game in Manhattan, the Tulane game last year. It got real ugly. It was raining the whole time, and they almost lost that game. They lost to Houston in the pouring rain.
And Avery struggled when it was cold and not great conditions in Ames last year, too.
Yes. So that was a point that I had not thought of until they brought it up. And it's Ireland, so I'm guessing every single day there's a slight chance of rain because that's what it does up there. We've all watched the Open Championship every year, and you know what it looks like. So
Oh, no,
now,
partly sunny. Aiden, 68 partly sunny in Dublin. On
the good news is we're still 10 days away.
Yeah,
A
it'll
lot
change.
can change.
What about wind? Wind, no wind?
Very
Aiden,
slight.
Can you pull up a picture of Aviva Stadium? That is open air, correct? Completely?
Yes.
Is it covered at all?
I think it's built like one of those British soccer stadiums where the stands are mostly covered.
Okay.
And the field isn't. I could be completely wrong, but I've seen pictures of it where it
That's exactly what it is.
looks like it'd be hard to get rained on in the
Yeah,
bleachers.
great for the folks there. But yeah, the field is definitely potential rain-ish. Now I'm sure the Aviva Stadium, with all of the weather that they deal with, drains very well. It's a newish stadium. It's not going to be an issue. But I love the threat of Abu Sama doing it to K-State again in precipitation. I do think, based on what we know about Iowa State's best offense early is going to try and establish the run. Now, K-State's, you know a lot about K-State. You've studied them more than I have at this point. K-State's D-line is supposed to be a strong suit for them.
Yep.
So it's not going to be easy to move them around. But the more I look at this game, I think that over-under's at 49.5, Jake. First game of the year, I think this one could be again, I said that in the snow game too, and then it ended up being 45 to whatever it was. But I'm leaning on like 2017 type here. I think this could be
I think so too.
A lower possession. I think Iowa State may want to try and, really establish the ground game.
Well, and that leads in a little bit to maybe what I thought was the most fascinating part of Taylor Mauser's presser yesterday. He spent 3 minutes just raving about how good the tight ends were, which he's right. The tight ends are going to be incredible. So I asked him, what type of personnel do you envision playing the most? And he brought up 10 personnel before he brought up 13. So I found that encouraging because I'm don't get me wrong, I'm not
for the football, the non-football guys.
Yes.
What's the difference?
So 10 personnel would be 5 wide receivers.
Okay.
No tight ends on the field. 13 personnel would be 1 running back,
3 receivers,
3 tight ends.
or 3 tight ends. Excuse me.
Yeah. The 10 personnel would be 1 running back, 4 wide receivers, essentially. No tight ends. And that was encouraging for me to hear because, much like Williams, I'm not an air raid guy like Williams. I'm not as extreme, but I still have nightmares to the 2021 season where I felt like that offense wasted a lot of talent by shrinking the field when they didn't necessarily need to. Don't get me wrong, Chuck Kohler and Chase Allen were great. I just think they maybe relied on the tight ends too much. And that's where I don't want Iowa State to revert to only doing that when Rocco's best strength is still being a gunslinger. And I like the idea. They'll typically be in the 11-12, so 1 or 2 tight ends on the field at a time, and still relying on them, but also not just trying to play the game within the numbers.
Interesting. Yeah, I am fascinated in game 1 for sure, but then also throughout the season, because you're right, Rocco was at his best when he was making plays. A lot of times it was when plays broke down. I mean, look at some of his touchdown throws a year ago, and it was, making them play when nothing was there. But generally, you don't do that with your tight ends a lot because you want those tight ends are usually the quicker routes. I'm very interested to see what Iowa State does, and in particular with Ben Bramer. I know he's a tight end, but will he operate more like a Jaden Higgins did? I think he's got the capability to do that. I don't know. It's just of the questions I have entering the season, I think defensively I have a pretty good idea what Iowa State's going to be like, outside of that second corner, which we've talked about. Who's going to be that corner? How much does Jeremiah Cooper now potentially shift to play some corner in some packages? I know essentially what they're trying to do on the defensive side is get their 5 best secondary guys, 6 best secondary guys on the field. And right now, those safeties are playing really well. Don't want a couple of those guys out there all the time. So we'll see. But otherwise, it's Iowa State's offensive philosophy almost. Because I know Williams likes the air raid, and we're going to argue to the end of time. If you can run the ball, you don't need to do anything else. You really don't. And so if you do run, just setting up stuff for the tight ends and, maybe occasional deep ball, you don't need a Higgins and a Knoll. But you always want one too. So, if an Overby can become a deep threat, is it Daniel Jackson reemerging? Is it Eskelson? Is it those transfers? I already mentioned them so well in Townsend. I don't know yet. But I think having the ability to run the ball is that calming influence of it just makes things better no matter what you do.
Another thing that Mauser mentioned that I thought was really insightful, he said that the run game got better last year, or maybe I'm flipping it. Either way, the run and the pass complemented themselves when Gabe Burkle broke out, along with Steve O'Klotz. Because when those two started catching passes, then the defense couldn't just assume that they were on the field to run the ball.
Yep.
Where early in the year, or even back to 23 and 22, you would see Steve-O on the field, Burkle on the field, or Tyler Moore, or Jared Russ, and the defense knew run. And most of the time it would be run. But when those guys started to emerge as better pass catchers, it leaves it even more unpredictable. The more unpredictability you can have, the better the offense will be.
That's a great point. That's why Burkle's so valuable. And obviously Ben Bramer's probably the more upside as far as a pass catcher. But Burkle proved he's a great blocker. Burkle is a great blocker. And if he's a weapon as well, you cannot game plan for that guy. It's a lot. I mean, honestly, I love Chuck Kohler. I love Chase Allen. But, Burkle may be, hot take, the best combo of both that Iowa State's had. Meaning, obviously, if I want a pass catcher, I'm going Kohler, Bramer. If I wanted a blocker, I'm going Buckner or Sainer.
Yeah.
Burkle can do both. He really can. And I think if you start talking about the most valuable pieces on Iowa State's roster, I think Burkle's in the top 10 for that exact reason. Because he's very unpredictable. He makes this offense, when he's out there, like, I don't know, got to keep an eye on him. And you're right, when it was Russ and some of those guys, you pretty much knew it was going to be a power run play to that side. And with Burkle, they can line him up some in the slot too. So I think 84 is in for a big year and could be the kind of the key to this offense in some fashion.
I know this is just turning into gushing with the tight ends, which I could do all day.
Let's go.
Another thing that Mauser added was that these two are very similar to Higgins and Knoll, where they don't care what it looks like. If it needs to be the Utah game where it's just chuck it up to Jaden Higgins and see what happens, they're happy to do that. But if they're not getting targets, Burkle is more than happy to go clear up some lanes for the running game. And he compared Burkle to Chase Allen in that way, where Chase Allen was the first prized recruit of the Matt Campbell era, and he was always thought to be that elite tight end, and he was a really, really good tight end, and Kohler just happened to be a little better, and Allen completely
changed his game.
Yeah, he changed his game and totally bought into that role of being an elite blocker, and he definitely had his moments as a pass catcher as well. So that's kind of how I expect the dynamic to be between Bramer and Burkle, where Bramer, he's going to block, he's the tight end, but his strength is going to be out there as a pass catcher, and it might switch the other way for Burkle.
I'm a big believer in an offense that you need to have a fastball. Like you need, when things aren't going well, hey, what do we got that's going to work? And last year it was Higgins and Knoll. You knew those two were better than anybody else, or right on par with anybody else that was going to try and cover them and take advantage of it. I think this year Iowa State's fastball is the matchups with the tight end. But it's different. You using those guys, as we saw with Tom Manning at times, it's harder to sometimes scheme open a tight end as opposed to if I get all the coverage on one side and a one-on-one for a receiver. So a little bit different challenge for Mauser this year. But I really feel good about having that position as, unlike 2023, we're like, I don't know what Iowa State's identity is going to be. You have two really good tight ends, three really good tight ends that will be there and be that fastball, if the offense is struggling.
Yep, and the more they're on the field, the better the run game should be as well.
And then,
that's a big piece of it.
I'm looking forward to this Iowa State tempo, too, of like just turning out first downs. May not be the big play. Look it up, man. They had the plays of 40-plus yards last year was insane how many Iowa State had.
Yep.
I don't envision this offense being that dynamic necessarily, but they could do some old school Bill Snyder vampire stuff just in a more efficient way with the pass game.
That's music to my ears.
And then I'm telling you, then you keep your defense fresh and you get Dom Orange at 100% the whole time. Like it'll only benefit your defense as well.
We can close out soon, but talking about Orange transitions, I think well into the other big takeaway I had from Haycock's presser. He said the words, "I'm not too stressed about it." And that really resonated with me because the way he talked about it, he didn't completely mention injuries, but he said, well, we got to get to the quarterback to help the secondary, and the secondary's got to help
cover long enough. Yeah.
I just get the sense that they chalk it up to a lot of the injuries last year. Haycock said that he wasn't good enough. He didn't scheme well enough. But when you look at the history, Haycock has proven himself time and time again. And they're not going to be dead last in the conference in sacks again. They're not going to have the second worst rush defense.
No.
Will they be top of the conference? Probably not. If they're top of the conference in those categories, I would say Big 12 championship or bust at that point. But I think they have the personnel with the linebackers to be middle of the pack in that range. And that should be enough for the defense to be at the level they were last year, maybe even a little better.
Yeah, great point. I think that's the theme I'm getting from camp, and it's almost wrapped up now, is, there's just not a lot of stress, which, what I would say to that, just to add context to our first conversation of this pod, this is year 10. Iowa State has a pretty idea under the staff what a good football team looks like at this point. And this one lines up with some of Iowa State's best at this point. And you can't predict where the ball bounces, you can't predict injuries, but there is a real sense of confidence and little stress, honestly, about what Iowa State has and how it will compare to the rest of the conference. And we've made it this far, 10 days away. Let's roll it out there and see what the actual games say. But real quick, we have breaking news, Aiden, in the chat.
We have some serious breaking news here.
Oh boy.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting injury reports.
Yeah, oh no.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah. Told you.
Would you look
Big
at that? Finally. We'll see how much that actually changes. But it can't hurt.
What is Camp Matt Campbell thinking right now? Everybody can't be day-to-day anymore.
That is...
Is this for this year? It's for this year, right?
Beginning with the 2025-26 season. Wow.
Can he make everyone day-to-day, maybe?
Do the old Bill Belichick, everybody's day-to-day.
Available, probable, questionable, doubtful, or out. So that... You're going to have a lot of questionables.
We're going to have a lot of questionables on the Iowa State depth chart.
But...
Is it punishable by fines? I wonder. We're going to have to do a couple more questions.
I think that's how the Big Ten did it.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that...
That's interesting, because there was always, even the first game of the season, there was always magically a couple guys in street clothes like, oh, I didn't know that. I don't think you can do that anymore.
Yeah. The amount of times where you'd show up to a game and be like, oh, what? He's not playing?
So you have to... what does that mean? Updates in the days leading up to the game and a final report 90 minutes prior to kickoff. My guess is, Jake, there's going to be a lot of questionables up until 90 minutes till kickoff.
Yes.
That's what that's telling me.
That'll be the gamesmanship part of it.
Yeah, that's what I would do at least.
But it's still an upgrade over what the system was.
It's necessary.
It can never be perfect, but it'll be a lot better.
Good stuff. Well, hey, we get to be the first injury report of the Big 12 era right there.
So I thought the breaking news was going to be what I saw before the show. Did you see who the halftime show is for the Big 12 championship game?
No.
John Party. Country music artist. I really like John Party. I think that's a massive upgrade over whoever they had last year.
Nelly?
That's a little more on brand than Nelly, I think, isn't it?
Wait, it was Nelly last year?
It was Nelly. Honestly, that was.
I thought it was like Neo or something.
Oh, it was Neo. It was Neo.
And I didn't even know who that was until.
Yeah, and I did, and it was honestly, it was kind of a drown your sorrows Neo performance for me at that point. Halftime, it wasn't out of contention at that point, but it was trending that way.
Yeah, that.
So I sad
That was
watched
a depressing
Neo.
halftime.
I sad watched Neo during that halftime. I hope to have a different reaction to John Party.
I do like John Party. I've never seen him in person.
What does John Party do?
He sings. Gosh, what's the
Head Over Boots is his
Head
big
Over
one.
Boots. Yeah.
All right, I got it. I follow.
Dirt on My
You're-
Boots is
yeah.
also his.
A lot of boot
Last Night
songs.
Lonely. Yeah,
You're
yep.
the one I need. No,
Okay,
that'll be fun.
Jake, that was good enough. I've tracked. It wasn't. You're not going to win any awards for that rendition, but I appreciate it.
I don't plan on it.
Is there a halftime in Dublin?
They better bring out some bagpipes.
Like, we
I guess.
gotta-
Wait, no, that's Scottish. Ignore that. Ignore that.
Do the Irish not do the bagpipes?
I already got hate when I said something about this on a previous podcast, and it's like, you think the Irish use bagpipes, you idiot? Sorry.
Not cultured. Oh, and before we go, we did get speaking of not cultured, I'm gonna take full ownership on this one. I did not know how to pronounce cheers in Irish, but because this is a professional journalist podcast, we went to Google to make sure we're going to pronounce this word right. Again, I said it was Slianti, which is not even close. Now, how in God's green earth our friends in Ireland got that word to be pronounced Sláinte? Sláinte? Is that what we're going with? Sláinte?
I think it's Sláinte.
Sláinte? Sláinte?
Samsonite, Swanson.
I mean, I gotta know by next week because I'm gonna just say this over and over again to the people.
My mom is there right now. I could text her, say, go ask a local how this is pronounced.
Sláinte, Sláinte, Sláinte.
It's got to be Sláinte or Sláinte, I think.
I think so too.
We could use one of the pronunciators on the E, though, to help things out. The one E is not helping our cause.
Yeah, this is the whole. For a guide, this is a terrible guide. Like this is not phonetic enough for me here.
I bet the Godfather's all over it, if I had to guess.
He, John, because Walters listens to this podcast. John, challenge, first touchdown for Iowa State. I need a Sláinte in there, okay? All right. Game on.
Folks, we got 10 days.
10 days.
And 10 days to go and hit up Hopewood, another sponsor of today's show. We're in for a long season.
It's going to be fun, though.
The good news with football, the good and bad news, the more you win, the more nerve-wracking each game gets. So in a way, I hope, not that we need Hopewood, but the need for Hopewood grows more and more over the season. That's a good thing because
Absolutely.
when the team's 1-0, you start to get nervous on Thursday. When the team's 6-0, you start getting nervous on Monday.
Great point. It adds up. The tension builds. It's going to be fun, everybody. This is the last Wednesday before game week.
Wow. And we'll be back for Sunday. We'll be back for Wednesday.
Get your mom on the Sláinte. Give me an answer, please.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
They're probably at the pub right now.
Well, that's the perfect
I'm jealous.
spot.
I'll be
Perfect
there.
spot.
Be there in exactly 1 week. Thank you for tuning in. Go and get your Will from Hopewood in a day. And we'll be back on Sunday with Cyclone Fanatic here in the Northwest Bank Studios.
Sláinte.